before I react to the chairman's response, let me go back to the ED. When I ED, in particular, cement, the standards are deteriorating every day. Yet it has these marks from UNBS. Mr. Chairman, well, the chairman is good at lamenting. I don't know whether he can give us hope that while he's in that chair and steering the entity, there is a lot that will be able to change in his leadership. However, I just want to, Mr. Chairman, this is now perhaps for our consumption. These inspection points are revenue points. If as government we can look at this as business, really we can solve this problem and at the same time earning revenue, because inspection points are revenue sources. I could not say a reason why we don't have these inspection points at any point. It's like now saying that we don't have URA at Busia border. It is government that will be losing, because the few people, staffs that will be there, we can afford to pay them from the collection and even remain with a very big amount of money. So I equally want to say that this is business. Government should just get to understand that this is business, so we can have as many staffs as possible and have these corrections.
Honorable Hashim.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I want to apologize also that today I'm really very late. I came very late because of some reasons. Chair, I wanted to pick from what Honorable Muzal has just said. You know, for the last 3-4 days now, we have been hearing the submission of our witnesses. But for sure, the chairman of the council has been presenting, and most of his presentations are complaints, lamenting, and many others. What I'm trying to inquire from him is that, like he just said, that these goods which are due for destruction, which are supposed to be burnt and so forth, they don't reach the destination where they're supposed to be maybe destroyed. I wanted him to know, I wanted him to tell us how he comes to know that these goods do not reach there, and if they don't reach there, what does he do as the chair of the council? What did he do? What has he ever done to see that, to look into that, to see that those, goods are really destroyed? Because if he, as the chair, knows that those goods do not reach, and why do they continue releasing those goods to go there? And where do they end up? He should know, as the chair of the what? As the chair of the council. I think that's why he's also employed there. Now, also talking about and lamenting about these inspectors, I think these inspectors are employees maybe of the entity. Now, if those are your employees and you know that they are corrupt, what have you done as the chair? What have you done to these inspectors? You know very well. You have talked for the whole of this week about these people being corrupt. What action did you take as the chair of the council?
Okay.
Because I really know that, Chair, coming here to talk all these things without you taking any action as the head of the institution may not really be very good and very adequate, because supposing you were not, if COSASE did not call you, if our chair did not call UNBS to come here to interact with us, where will you take all these complaints and how will they come out, Chair? So this is really my concern. I have been following your submissions all these days, and they are all in that line. So please try to tell us if maybe COSASE did not come out with anything, let me say now, what will you really do as the chair?
Honorable Nangoli, and then Honorable.
Mine is a simple one. It's just a supplementary question to what Honorable Hashim has just mentioned. Chair, if I'm not mistaken, he brought everything before COSASE and submitted on the first day that we interacted with these witnesses. that shows that he is willing to ensure that he does the cleaning of UNBS. And I believe that given the mandate and our advice as we are going to do, is going to do a good job. What we can encourage him is that please make sure you do a good job within a period of, actually he's going to commit himself before this committee within which time frame that is going to put things right. 3 months, 6 months. Short of that, we shall also recommend for his exit. That's not a problem. It is within our powers. Shall do that. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Abdallah.
I want ED and the management further to tell us how do they guarantee standard in the environment that we don't have stringent counterfeit laws. As you are aware, apart from some sections in the penal code which talk about counterfeit, what measures have you taken or put in place to ensure that goods which are counterfeit, for example, you can find Nevia original and another Nevia of a standard, which is good to be consumed, but they are counterfeiting or they are duplicating what is original. How do you deal with such a situation? I understand my question is clear. I think my question is clear. How are you dealing with such a situation? Two, is there a situation where you deal with, UNBS is dealing with infringement? For example, where you find Omo and Ono, something like that. Both goods run onto the market. Do you handle such complaints when they come to your attention, and how do you address them?
Okay, let's. You wanted to say something?
Yeah, but I think it has been cleared by my neighbor. I just wanted to add in a sentence. The board is a new board, and it appears, I think, they're trying to put in a place of supervision and strict enforcement. The only thing which is lacking is when I talked about having an office, I didn't want that to offend you, but this is a very big structure where your presence must be felt. You must have an administrative office. You should not be seen as moving in corridors for you to be recognized as the chair. It is an issue of governance. The chairperson must be felt in the institution without necessarily interfering, because for you, I know you're a corporate lawyer, you are avoiding interfering with the management. But if you're talking about whatever you're raising and you're doing it outside, is a problem. I'm happy you said there are committees, but they must be also functional. They must have a board where you sit and they say committee has sat. But if you go now to the ED's office, then you become subordinate. So those are key issues. If you don't mind, you may have to organize and look at the corporate structure and how it runs, because that's where the taxpayer paid for my education. So we should really make sure that some of the things that you don't have. Actually, that's what my colleague said, that you are lamenting. Actually, you're not lamenting, because now you've gotten an opportunity to express whatever is going on before a committee, which you think can help you to enforce. But I think there are just a few issues. I'm sure you really handle this. We will pray for the best.
Okay. Your advice to UNBS. See, Honorable Sivambi also taught me the law. Now, 2 of my former teachers are becoming legal advisors
Actually,
of UNBS.
we're teaching the same subject with Ngoru. My student was the best student in my subject, and now we're teaching together.
Okay, but really, this is advice in good faith, so that things get to be sorted out. Let's get quick responses to the issues that have been raised.
Let me start with Honorable. First of all, to thank Honorable, to appreciate that when UNBS does its work very well, it is by default that it also brings money. Say, Honorable, our mandate is actually not revenue collection. I've tried to bring this clear. Revenue comes by default. The more I want to thank the Honorable that if we can empower UNBS to be present in as many places where we are not, by default, our non-tax revenue will also be increasing because our services are paid for. We have undertaken a structural review as part of the rationalization and mergers of government by public service. They have actually said that we need optimum number for a start based on the current situation. We need actually a minimum of 1,200 before we even start thinking of what? Growing. So even the structural review as part of the mergers and restructuring in government, I've already assessed UNBS of really gross understaffing, and I've recommended that at least we move to at least 1.2, meaning that we need to double the current numbers to be able to respond to these demands. So I hope through our interaction, which now is clear, that we need both the numbers, but most importantly, the operational funds, because we have functions like market surveillance operation, imports inspection, legal metrology, who are full-time enforcement on the market. So if you can't guarantee that money, then you're actually undermining the quality of products on the market because the enforcement gap will be really glaring. So those are some of the issues you will see when I showed you the details of expenditure of up to 11 billion at source. You really see that it was really for an enforcement activities to make sure that we try to maintain minimum presence, not what we would ideally be doing if we are given the budget we require. So that is really key, and thank you that you appreciate that. I hope the committee should be able to pick that into in part of the recommendations. One, beefing up staff presence in the entry points, but most especially for me, Chair, is the issue of giving us the money we want, because we have demonstrated that we collect back 100% plus the money you give us. The Treasury is very aware. You give UNBS 80 billion, it will give you 90 billion or 100. You give us 60, we'll give you 70. You gave us 45 this year, even amidst that difficulty, we have given them 50. So we always give back plus what you give us. So based on that understanding, I would request that UNBS be given some minimum retainer at source to really guarantee the basics so that we don't really be culpable for some of those exposures that the budget has been cut. I cannot go to enforce, I cannot inspect, I cannot do. So this is the debate we have been having with the Treasury for a long time. If you look at my correspondence with the PSST, it was to that effect, that what can somebody who, first of all, collects back 100% of the budget you give it, do, but most importantly, somebody who is held accountable for every life which will be lost should somebody consume a product that does not meet the requirement. So this is our appeal over the last 3 days, even as we admit non-compliance with the laws, but we are saying that under the circumstances, if you love your country, what could somebody do? So I hope that can become clearer during the report and recommendation. Then, Honorable Abdallah, on the issue of counterfeits, Chair, we normally get misunderstood when we say that our focus is not on counterfeit. Our focus is, is that counterfeit safe or meet the quality standards? Then we leave the issue of infringement on the copyrights to the owners, because counterfeit is actually infringement on somebody's brand or patent. So what we have done for the local industries, local manufacturers, is that as part of certifying them, you must register and book your name and the brand of your commodities. So we are somehow in control of what? Of our local production. But when it comes to imports, it becomes a bit problematic for us. But for us, part of the requirement for you to get a Q mark is that you need to register your name and the commodity name, the brand, so that nobody else can come to us with the same. So we protect at least at the local level through that measure. But at the global international trade, it becomes problematic for us. But it is a responsibility that has, I think, been vested with the Uganda Registration Services Bureau for purposes of enforcement, because issues of infringement in brands is causing revenue loss. they tend to sell more than the owner, the original owner of the brand, and it's not good for fair competition. Again, cement is very passionate with cement. I think after this, I will find what you do in cement business. But as I told you, we have learned that cement is adulterated outside the factory. We have found some other ingredients being added to make the what? To make the same kilograms and package. But we have tried also to use this new technology coming, the trace and track, to tag on these bags. But it's a bit tricky because of the bulk. Where do you place that sticker to confirm that UNBS has actually checked in the factory? Can they still open another area and still manipulate it? So adulteration is real in cement, and we have been aware that one of the common places in Kampala is a place called Goodshed, Railway Goodshed, which we have been putting up on the radar for a long time, but it also happens in transit and go down. So we have a specific intervention on that now that our budget has been moved slightly upwards back to 60. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, buy cement directly from Tolo. But you'll see that the quality has really changed from the previous years. If you compare the cement that we used to use of those years and what is happening today, they're totally different. Leave alone the issue of adulteration and so on. There is a problem. Just need
to comment on some of the aspects that were directly addressed to him.
Okay, Board Chair.
Thank you, Chair and the honorable member. You start with the lamenting because, as I said, we've been there for only 10 months. And I had never interested myself in the activities of UNBS other than being among the members of the public complaining about it. And the UNBS is a very big organization, so you don't get there and rush to prescribe cures before you even know the illnesses. And as I said, also, if we are working within the law, the board, actually, it is possible to be a member of the board, collect your allowances, leave, because the term is 3 years. 3 years, I think, yeah. The term is another 3 years. And you go away and you don't even know anything about the organization, other than what you were told. And there are some structural deficiencies within the system. Actually, most of these boards, even for me to have knowledge or access to information of this type of thing, in Uganda speak, that is like intervening and going beyond your code of duty, you know, because generally boards work with the papers that have been brought to them, and the papers are not there. What information is not there, you deal with what's there and you go away. If I had to have an office, and at least for the next few months, when the substantive ED is on leave, I ought to be there at least twice a week. But as he said correctly yesterday, that starts to bring in budgetary constraints. So you are in here for what? Because your employment document is for a payment when you attend meetings. Now you have made yourself an executive chairperson, and that's not the job I was hired for. So it also, so we talk about facilities to the chairperson. A chairperson, now I also, if I come to sit there, I must have my own, at least one staff member. At least a personal assistant, not like the one you took yesterday, but a proper one. Who is going to pay for that in what budget? So if I am overseeing an ED and using the ED's facilities to oversee him, Is that possible? Are you really adding much value to the organization? The answer is no. But so now that you have been lamenting and all this sort of thing at the term again, very little time remaining, what are you going to do? And I think, sir, that's a very legitimate question. One of the things that I have looked at and discussed with the ED, and we have discussed at the board level, council level, is the need for a local PVOC. And I'm very passionate about that. Because the government is not going to give us money to move from 500 to 1,200. It's not going to happen. And I think some of this work can be handled better and cheaper by using Ugandans. We even get more Ugandans employed. But let us get Ugandan companies, let us have training for these people. We withdraw our inspectors from the field, strengthen the office, the head office for overseeing these people, and let them do the work privately. And I think, I have a feeling there is a possibility that we could improve on what's happening without necessarily having to beg the treasury all the time. So that is one measure that I really am passionate about, and but that might require. We even asked our legal counsel to check: is this something that needs to go to Parliament? Is this something we can do administratively? And but I don't see a quick fix to that. Thank you very much.
Honorable, let us to end this issue so that we
Yes.
cover others.
On the issue of office space, I think the board, as part of their administrative work, okay, they are not supposed to involve themselves in administration, but it is very important that if someone really wants to see a body chairperson, they should find him, there should be an office for the, not necessarily for the chairperson, but the body must have an office at the institution. Yeah, presence. You see, there are so many people who might want to see the chairman, even the staff, but if they cannot find him, if they don't have his phone number, that means they cannot get him. So, as we have worked before in these organizations, of course, the body chairman is not supposed to be, coming to office as if, every day, as if he's an employee. But there are two things that must happen. Number one is that the ED should always share information with the chairman. If the chairman is to work, is to execute his mandate, the executive director must always share information with the chairman. That's the only way it can work. That's number one. Number two, the meetings that happen, as Honorable Siwambi alluded to earlier, these subcommittees, the board subcommittees, must really be seen to be working. And once they are working, it becomes easier for the chairman through the subcommittees to supervise this entity. To me, I think the absence of that, of the board in the affairs of the entity is also another issue that chair we need to get interested in, because if you are an absentee board, then it becomes very complicated for these guys to work. Yeah, it becomes very hard for them for the ED and the staff really to feel that they are being supervised. All those issues that you see here, they need the board presence. The board is very, very important in corporate governance. If the board is not present, then there is a problem. I beg to submit, Chair.
Okay, of course, institution begins to morph and do better, they're easier to work out. I don't think as Parliament we have to pass a resolution that now let there be an office for the chairman, let there be whatever, as internal workings improve, some of these things become easier. Sharing of information, because you see, the board chair, whoever it is, can have an office at the institution, and the ED, whoever it is. As long as, again, they're not sharing information and that kind of thing, there's no working relationship, even if that board chair is in office every single day, they won't execute their work. Yeah, so our hope is that as the internal workings improve, things inevitably get better. Colleagues, I request we move to other issues so that we don't drag. We had skipped so that we handle the other ones together. The issue of contingent assets arising from enforcement fees to UNBS. What's noted is that not only does failure to remit the enforcement fees to UNBS affect the enforcement of standards conformity, which may lead to substandard items being released to the market, but it also deprives UNBS of its revenue for the implementation of planned activities. And again, we understand the Bureau did not disclose this amount in its financial statements. We don't know why. But ultimately, uncollected conformity stamps enforcement fees may lead to a loss of non-tax revenue. So that's the challenge there with these fees. Talk to us about what happened here.
As earlier alluded on the delayed implementation of the program, the contract we first signed actually gave this as a contingent income. A contingent income that it will only be payable when you have gone live. And you can see we've just gone live this month on 10th. And I'm here with the project manager who has indicated that now that go live will be able to trigger us to invoice to demand that money to be paid. So, Chair, we look forward to sending an invoice now that we have gone live and the system is being tested for stability of delivering on this system going forward. So this, I guess, will be reported in the audit of the 22-23. The status will be updated.
Issue of management of public land, that's 6, because the others we have dealt with. Here that are pointed out. One, there's land that you acquired. This was allocated to you by UIA. And up to date, you've not gotten title. This was in August 2021. To date, that land has not been titled. Then there's another plot of land, and these were 5 acres. Yeah, Mbali was 5 acres. Mbarara was 3 acres. Land allocated to you, and then I think you didn't utilize it, so it was then allocated. Because we shall be keeping an eye. But your staff are complaining, among other things, you know, they have not received the salary increment for over 5 years, and yet they see the NTR collections are going higher. So they're thinking, we're the ones doing all of this work. How come for us we're not taken care of? The big bosses seem to be comfortable. For us, the juniors down, we have been abandoned. That's a complaint coming from your junior staff members. They also complain of career stagnation. Somebody has been in the same position for over 15 years, no promotion. New entrants do come in. They train them. And those ones, you know, they keep going up the ladder. And so they're saying there's a lot of discrimination. And it bothers them that somebody is competent for 15 years, he or she is even able to train newcomers, and the newcomers overtake them, and they're wondering why, yet they have the requisite qualifications and so on. But they also complain, you as management, you do not engage them. You do not engage them. I don't know why. Perhaps because you fear that each time you engage them, they are going to raise complaints. Where do you want them to complain? If not to you, their bosses. So these are critical issues that we have gotten from your staff members. So as you address this gratuity issue and the structure, talk to us about these issues that we have captured from your staff members.
Thank you, Chair. The shortfall arose from the previous financial year where a gratuity was given for areas of conversion of staff. We have converted all UNBS staff to contract workers now, and there was need to pay the gratuity terminal benefits due from permanent engagement during the period. Unfortunately, we did not get enough money during that time, but were able to clear it during the previous year, as indicated. So that areas is now settled. Then the gaps in the UNBS structure, if you see indeed, as they had indicated, the structure was proposing 600 staff, 644. But as you have observed that the Bureau, because of this understaffing, first of all, as you have seen, we have done a restructuring review, which indicate that actually we don't need actually only this 66, we need almost double to 1,200. So we found prioritizing some of the core areas, and one of those core areas is actually the imports inspection, that despite it still having gaps, we are not covering all border points. Apparently, they actually, within the few staff we have, they are the one with the majority of staff, because we are trying to prioritize it like firefighting. Where do you put the little resources you have? So we've tried to pump imports inspection. We have tried to pump market surveillance. These guys who try to go on the market. We have tried the legal metrology for weights and measure, for fair measurements. So you find that indeed, because of working within the little you have, you tend to prioritize resources and make certain points heavier, just as a firefighting. But indeed, as we get more funds, then we can be able to look at other functions as well to balance it. So that is the current challenge of low staffing, and you want to make sure that you prioritize the key functions which actually have in core mandate. On the issue of salary enhancement, despite NTR, Chair, we all get the salary from the consolidated fund. I'm aware that our staff have petitioned both our trade committee, but also through Office of the Speaker, on why they have not been considered as scientists. As again, you know, UNBS has the highest concentration of scientists, and they feel that they should be considered under the scientists' remuneration. So we will be bringing that to the attention of the sector committee as well during the upcoming budgeting cycle, if it can be considered. They believe that if considered with scientists, the rate will be favorably fair, because my lowest officer now graduate gets 3.5 million as a salary, but they are saying their counterparts that have been harmonized as scientists get a bit a minimum of 4. So they believe that we need to harmonize that rate with other scientists, but this is an issue of appropriation through the wage budget. So we hope that we should be able to get that for consideration. On the issue of career progress and stagnation, we have a career path. The challenge is that because of lack of money for promotion, the priority has been that the little money we get is to add numbers first to bridge the gap. But we are saying that once we can get some optimal numbers of bridging the gap in the entry points on the market, in the regional offices, then we could put some smaller money to do some bit of internal promotions. So it's already part of the plan in the HR committee of the board as well.
Yes, clarification.
The way the ED is talking, it's as if there is no promotion that has happened, and yet it is on record and from the staff that there is selective promotion of staff. So would he really talk to us about that? Because you cannot say there has not been promotions. There is selective promotion. So can you talk to us about that?
Selective promotion is that when a vacancy arises, we advertise it internally. And you find that it gives opportunity to very few people compared to those who are actually eligible. So we are looking at a concept of automatic promotion, that anybody who has possibly served at some position for a minimum of some years be given possibly a step higher. So that is where that challenge comes, that the current one which occurs because there is a vacancy, 1 or 2, does not accommodate everybody. So we are looking at that smaller money where we can say that people who have been serving at some level for some time should be able to be given automatic promotion. So that's where that complaint comes from.
Chair, I think
Yes.
there are two things. Number one, your structure should accommodate people in such a way that if someone is at the same level, if people are at the same level, they should earn the same salary at that level. If there is to be a promotion, you promote people according to experience, skill, and all that, so that there is no this thing of staff thinking that they are being discriminated against. You know, managing people is very, very important for an organization to grow. You must manage the people so well so they don't feel a sense of discrimination and all that. So I think what is important is for you to do an analysis. I don't know if you, I think in one of your submissions yesterday but one, you said you had started a restructuring process. So that restructuring process should be able to give you, a way of remunerating staff, of handling staff grievances, of handling their salaries, so that there is equality and equity in whatever you're doing for the staff.
Thank you, Chair, for the guidance. Indeed, for now, same pay for same level is being applied. The concept of promotion, we will make sure that the Committee of Council, we have a HR Committee of Council here, chaired by Council Omar Muhammad, so is taking note of what we can do after here, look based on the resources we can be able to get. Chair, on the issue of staff engagement, we believe that we could have been probably very more engaging on average, because we have a staff union. UNBS has unionized staff, although not all staff belong to it, but we have what we call a management consultative committee. This is a committee of management and the union representatives meeting regularly to discuss any issues that might be pertaining staff. So that so far is doing very well because there is a platform for that. But for the non-unionized, we also have what we call a staff forum. We have staff representatives who engage with non-unionized staff and come up with issues therein to submit to management. Management compiles them, bring to the attention of council those management cannot resolve. But what management can resolve, we always give them feedback. And then, of course, our regular general staff meetings, which we try as much as possible to make biannual. So we believe that we engage, but of course, engagement is subjective. People might want to be having it continuously, but we also have really group staff email where there is issue. We communicate to staff issues of the budget, issues of certain policy changes, and so forth. So we believe that there is that platform. We can only enhance possibly the numbers of engagement or meetings so that we make them more regular than possibly expected. The restructuring from public service is pending approval by their top management. They are also proposing both the nomenclature, the positioning of certain positions, and then the pay rate. We are waiting. I'm told there will be pay for the same level staff across government. So we look forward to seeing that salary structure for the whole government public workers. Chair, I submit.
Yes, Honorable Sibambi.
Honorable Chair, when you look at the query raised by the Auditor General and the response by management, now I like talks like Honorable Nkunyinji, is not harmonized with the provisions of the law. Section 11, specifically 12, talks about appointment of staff. The council, you highlight council, may appoint such other officers or employees of the Bureau as they may consider necessary for the efficient performance of the functions of the Bureau. Subsection 2, The officers or employees of the Bureau shall serve on such terms and conditions as the Council may determine. So when you look at the query to do with positions, general staffing, and then your response, you finally almost say that the Ministry of Public Service has completed a restructuring review of the Bureau to provide optimal staffing levels that corresponds with the emerging demands of the UNBS services countrywide. The structure is now awaiting final approval by the Ministry of Public Service top management for implementation. In this act, the Ministry of Public Service is not highlighted anywhere. So you're talking about the Ministry of Trade and the Council. So completely the Council is outside this. And the mandate to do with the appointment of staff, determining remuneration and terms is with the Council. Public service is completely outside. The harmonization might be a policy, government policy issue, but legally, now I'm talking like Honorable Nkonyinji with all due respect. So, are you following the law? Then two, in your submission here you said there's a committee, but the committee is not appearing anywhere. So I don't know whether this is for the chairperson or the ED. As far as you are concerned, personally, I feel that whatever you're doing is ultra vires.
To confirm that the process before we finally submitted the report to public service for approval was undertaken internally. So the board actually interacted with the consultants that were making the review and made their input. So it is actually a board that made the final endorsement for that report before it went to public service. So they're involved, except that they are coming because of that government policy now, that even if UNBS has been left alone, not to be merged or phased out, it needs to be looked at. The structure needs to be looked at. And we are happy that although others would have been said, cut staff by half, they have instead said that you double your staff. So the process was participatory, and the council had their own input and considered the content therein before we submitted it back to the ministry that is spearheading the restructuring.
Yes, Honorable Hashim.
Hassan,
Head legal is around.
when was
When
our
does that take
practicing
effect?
certificate?
Thank you. No, that is, I think, 24 months now. But in the structure, still, it's still what he has said.
Okay,
Similar
so-
to that, anyway. The Honorable Hashim has
So for you, what do you propose?
exactly as you said. You see,
So you gave him your notes?
No, Chairman.
So tell
You
us what
see,
you're
a legal
proposing.
department is very, very, very important to an institution. When it comes to protecting the institution and staff, legal department plays a big role. Not only after something has gone wrong, but even before. How are you going to do to ensure that there is compliance if actually you cannot make independent decisions? You see, a lawyer is somebody who tells you, this is what you want, but this is what should be, or this is actually the best option in this situation. And within the law says X, though you want this, but this is the law. Now, if you don't have that independence within the institution to do that, you may actually not guide properly. But if you know that, yes, I'm in this position, I have this protection, then you are free to say that, fine, this is what you need, but the law is saying ABCD, and that's what it is. So I think, but all other institutions, you got all these, you got URA, UNRA, you go similar institutions as UNBS which are corporate. All legal departments are at the level of directors. Even Insurance Regulatory Authority.
Honorable
It
Chair,
is a bit small,
I
but
think procedure. The legal counsel is, I think.
The legal department needs to be beefed up and bettered. Why? You're going to run into legal brick walls. You know, you're struggling with people who are taking you to court or who you're taking to court, they're not complying and so on. Labor disputes. For example, some of your staff have taken you to court for unlawful dismissal. We're seeing page 39 of the financial statements. There's a list of non-quantifiable contingent liabilities. Half of these, 7 out of the 15 cases listed, relate to labor dispute claims about unlawful terminations and so on. So, the kind of work that you do, most of it rotates around legal questions. And so it's important that you have a robust legal department.
Back to the ED and the chairperson, the director, human resource. You need to come up with a program. Because you see, even the chairperson, take people through, especially the newcomers in the organization. Have a policy, have a program where you can take them through to understand their mandate, the limits and the limitations. Understand, know them. I don't want to use the one he does not understand. So it is very important. When my brother here was reading, some things are new to you people. Legal department, play your part so that you harmonize these things together with the HR, the ED, and all the relevant departments. Have a training, have a policy in place that if you join in this organization, we must take you through the act, the human resource manual, the finance, but he has not been taken through the system, how it operates. Then also, the presidents are like the people who left the other. That's when we come here at Parliament. I can just give you a simple example. We have our rules of procedure. The books are provided. And we always have trainings for at least 3 to 4 weeks when we join Parliament. So that we're saying, we went through the training. Okay. Sorry.
Okay, I think that's been noted. 8 is about procurement. 2 major challenges here. One is failure to carry out a market price assessment. You know the law is very clear, Section 26(4) of the PPDA Act, that before you embark on any procurement, you must carry out price assessment. And you did not do that for a certain procurement, for the supply, delivery, installation, testing, and commissioning of communication equipment. And as an entity, you spent 248.874 million on this particular procurement, and yet price assessment was not done. Because if you don't do price assessment, you're not able to gauge which is a fair price for a good contract and that kind of thing. So the law was not followed here. And then 2, there are some incomplete procurements to the tune of 1.32 billion. What happened with those? So talk to us about these 2 issues.
Thank you, Chair. The process owners are here, but what happened in the market assessment? There was a challenge that whenever you ask people, they seem to be thinking that you're just using their quotation for comparison. You don't give them business. So there was very poor response because of that reason, because we regularly almost ask from the same people. So they say last time, the last 2 times you asked me, I didn't see anything coming. So there was a bit of poor response, but at least this has since improved. That going forward currently, at least we have assured them that, see, it helps us to make you also be able to bid because we just want to see what prevails in the market. So we now ensure that all the user departments attach the market assessment to accompany the requisition to address that problem. Then there was that incomplete procurement process. During the period, apparently because of the delays in committing contracts, because we had not gotten really monies for those specific procurements, but we were able to roll them in the year which has just closed, where they were completed. A few of them could not be then executed because that's the same year where we had massive shortfall. So, Chair, that's the status on those incomplete ones, but also the improvement we have now done on the market assessment going forward.
You had mentioned the team is here, procurement team.
Daniel, would you want to add anything on top of what I've said?
That these were largely ICT procurements worth 1.4 and specialized equipment, and they were rolled up in the next year, and we have implemented them. Thank you. They were pushed in the following financial year, and they were completed.
Okay, yes, so that's for the incomplete ones. But how about the failure to carry out a market price assessment before you go ahead and procure?
We now conducted market assessment.
What happened the other time? Why did you not? Because if you're saying you now conduct it, meaning it should be easy to conduct. Because it's a creature of law, Section 26(4) of the PPDA Act. It's a requirement. It's not lab equipment. I need to hear you, sir. Looks like Honorable Abdallah is on hearing you. I also need to hear you. So move the mic closer and be as loud as you can.
As a department, we undertake calibration of their equipment.
Okay.
Which department is that again, for proper clarity?
The National Metrology Laboratory, which is responsible for calibration of equipment and also for traceability of measurement standards in the whole country.
That's under UNBS?
Yes, please.
And you're the head, you're what exactly?
I'm a principal officer in charge of one of the divisions, which takes on, that is the physical metrology laboratories, to include mass, length, dimensions, force and torque, flow and big volume.
Okay. Do you have you use to run that very business?
The question is not clear.
Do you, apart from that official work you do for UNBS in regard to UNRWA, do you have any private company which you use to do the same work?
First of all,
yes or no?
It's becoming difficult.
Mr. Chwanuka. Mr. Chwanuka.
Yes, please.
The question is no.
No.
Just a second. Clerk, I want that we put this gentleman on oath now so that he gets to know that whatever he is to tell us had better be the truth. Because when you're under oath and you tell a lie, that's a different offense altogether called perjury. You came with a lawyer. He should explain to you these things. I shouldn't be the one explaining to you. So we want to put you under oath. And just a second, why are you panicking, Mr. Chwanuka? Calm down. So we want you guilty of anything just yet. It just means that be careful whatever you say. Because if you tell a lie, evidence of which we might have, that's another offense under the law called perjury. So just avoid creating two offenses. If there is an issue and then you create another offense for yourself called perjury, it becomes a problem, yeah? So be careful how you proceed. I don't see our CID staff today. I don't know why. Okay, I'm seeing one. Okay. So let's do that oath. Then take the oath.
I, Kiwanuka John, do solemnly swear that the evidence I shall give touching the matter before this committee shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. I cancel.
Just a second, boss. when you take an oath, you're supposed to sign that oath. And by the way, my engagement is with you and not your lawyer. Your lawyer is available to assist you whenever, but this is a procedural issue, yeah? When you take an oath, you have got to sign that oath. So you can't tell me you're consulting your lawyer on whether or not to sign the oath. Because it's an oath that you have taken. You can reread it if you want, and be sure we have not added anything you haven't read. The way you're behaving, you're beginning to cause us to assume too many things. If I were you, I would compose myself and respond to issues without panic. There's a question that was put to you with specificity about a company. Do you own a company in that regard?
I own a company but doesn't do calibration.
Which company is that and what does it do?
It does general business.
Which company is that?
It is called Africa One General Enterprises.
Yes?
Africa One General Enterprises.
Africa?
One General Enterprises Limited.
Okay.
You, just for specificity, for clarity, you're saying you don't own any company that does calibration. Is that what you're confirming to us? Think about it because you are under oath now. And if you tell us a lie, Mr. Chiwanuka, that's another offense. I'm sure your lawyer has told you that. So, do you own a company that does calibration?
If I could clarify about what calibration is. For calibration to be undertaken by a company...
Mr. Chiwanuka, you're going to tell us what calibration is because you're assuming we don't know. We do, but it's okay. You'll tell us what it is.
If I could
but
explain
first,
that one now...
Hey, you man. We cannot be two chairpersons here, Mr. Chiwanuka. It just does not work that way. Yeah? So, the question I am putting to you, do you own a company that does calibration services? It's a yes or no. Your microphone is not on.
No, sir.
Okay, Honorable Abdallah, proceed.
Do you know any company which is doing the same job as UNRWA, as UNBS, which is doing the same job, providing the same services, or which was presented to UNRWA to do the same services, even if it does not belong to you?
Yes, I've heard of some companies.
Okay. Which company is that?
The one I heard of, but that is around 5 years ago, was Associated Scale Industries.
It is owned by who?
Mr. Gerard Mukasa.
Yes?
Mr. Gerard Mukasa.
Who is that?
Mr. Gerard Mukasa. I know he's the owner of that company because since the time I came to UNBS, we've always interacted.
Who accredited it to do the job for UNRWA?
I do not know of any accredited company in Uganda to do calibration work.
To the best of your knowledge, is it still doing the work?
I'm not sure because I've taken some time without interacting with them.
Is it the same company where the executive director of UNRWA claimed to, from you, the receipts of the money which was being paid, and they were not getting the receipts?
I have not interacted with the ED UNRWA before, all my life.
Have you ever received any letter from UNRWA demanding for the receipts of the services, for the payments for the payments so far made, and you have never up to now given them those receipts?
I don't remember that.
You don't remember?
No, because I don't remember. I don't personally receive money for the organization.
But you are aware that once you do the work for UNRWA, once UNRWA has paid, you issue receipts.
As UNBS, as who?
As UNBS.
I think that is an issue for accounts to explain. Because ours, all work is captured on the system, the metering system. There is no involvement with cash. Money is paid on via the URA web portal. Then after payment, we see it on the system. Then we can be able to know that such and such a customer paid. Then we assign a staff member and we plan to do the jobs.
What I'm talking about is about in relation to the payment which was made in favor of a company which you presented to UNRWA for having done the calibrations, and when it came to demanding for the receipt, up to now you have never given them the receipt.
Honorable, I personally do not handle that, because I have never recommended a company on my own. And in any case, it isn't my duty at all, because that is a repair firm which is involved with repairs. And in fact, when you say that they do calibration, what I know, those people are contracted either to supply or undertake service or repair their equipment. And at the end of that day, such equipment should, mark my word, should be submitted to UNBS, but not as themselves to do the calibration. That's when I requested that maybe I explain the term calibration and you understand it very well.
No. You don't need it. Have you ever received any complaint as far as the calibration services which are being provided to UNRWA? Have you ever received any complaint or heard of any complaint from UNRWA having received the services of UNBS, and once the payment was made to that specific company, no receipt was issued?
I may have had, I can say that, but not received. First of all, when we are doing calibration, there are so many fields of calibration. What I enumerated is what I'm charged of, but there are even other fields. I have a feeling you could be talking about calibration of way bridges.
Of?
Way bridges.
Yes, that is what I'm talking about.
If that be the case, that is not the mandate of the National Metrology Lab, but the Legal Metrology Department of UNBS. They know how they do their thing. And if it's not the ED or Madam Patricia, the Deputy ED, to give more light on that, then no, I may not be in position.
Exactly where you are, that is where I am. The complaint was about what?
Which complaint again?
Which you
okay,
had.
maybe because Mr. Chwanuka, you have said you may have had. So tell us about what you had.
What I can recall, because this is something I didn't take note of. And sometimes when you hear of some complaints, you forward to the respective officers. What I can say I've ever heard of is maybe delayed licenses, of which I reported, but in regard to calibration, rather to payment for calibration work, now that one confuses me, because calibration is undertaken by my department. The Legal Metrology Department does verification.
Okay, maybe
that's where the whole confusion is coming.
Let's first give you a minute to tell us what you do.
Okay.
You at UNBS.
We do calibration of equipment in various fields. The most common one is the field of mass. That is weight and the corresponding measuring equipment, commonly referred to as weighing scales. Eliminating weigh bridges, because weigh bridges are in a different department called legal metrology of UNBS. Then too, we have dimensions, which is length. We have flow, which are flow meters, for example, water meters. meters used in the oil industry to measure the flow. Then we have big volumes, those are big storage tanks. Then we also force and torque. We have, as a department, we also have temperature. We have the analytical laboratories and so many others.
So, okay, so that's what you, for UNRWA with specificity. So you're saying you calibrate equipment that they use?
Yes, but minus weigh bridges, because weigh bridges is another department. So the equipment, these are small masses, the small platform scales, maybe desktops, then the thermometers, force gauges, compression testing machines, proving rings, to mention but a few, because it's quite a number. It's a big range, and each of them is categorized independent of the other.
And
for UNRWA, they have a laboratory in Chambok. Okay? So they submit the list of their equipment, which we put on our system, provide a quotation, then we go on to do the calibration when the payment has been completed.
Payment made by who to where?
By UNRWA to UNBS via the URA web portal. Okay?
If he has a medical challenge, he goes to hospital. Ours is to ask questions, accountability questions that must be responded to. Just a second.
It's okay.
Because I don't want someone to die from here because we are asking them questions of accountability.
The man is down, huh?
No, I mean, what? Because you see,
on the media, please. Respect the privacy.
no, what you see, if he's unwell, let's take him to hospital. Because, you know, I don't want someone to die and then say, the family says he died because COSASE asks hard questions. There's nothing personal here. We simply ask questions of accountability.
Mr. Chairman, you will be well. I think we can proceed.
No, I want to proceed when either he's okay or he's been taken to hospital. Because how do I proceed if there's a situation I'm not understanding?
He just needs a few minutes.
Clark, can you call our medical team here at Parliament?
It could be simple crying. We can give him a long time.
Can one of our staff just follow to see to it that is attended to by our medical people, but also that we follow up and understand what's going on?